So the 5M framework are the 5 success business pillars that every successful business has in place. It starts with messaging, it moves to mindset, then it's must-haves, then it's marketing, and it ends with momentum. Those are the basics. They never change. They apply to any business of any size, of any industry, of any age.
You found your way to the Winning Tactics podcast with host Adam Sinkus. Adam discusses winning tactics with small business owners and entrepreneurs, uncovering processes and introducing the tools and solutions for enhancing the bottom line. Thanks again for finding your way to the Winning Tactics podcast, and now your host, Adam Sinkus.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another wonderful episode of the Winning Tactics podcast. I am your host, Adam Sinkus, and excited for today's show. Before we jump into today's show, I do want to just, remind everybody, make sure you stop on over to thewinningtactics.com. You can find, listen to the show, find all our where we're at on social, and find it on your favorite platform to listen as well. So definitely take a moment to check that out. If you want to support us, drop on over to patreon.com/Adam Sinkus, and you can support the show there as well. Today's going to be an awesome show because, I think we get wrapped up in business owners in this, this kind of space where we're focused on all the chaos that's happening around us and all the crazy stuff that happens as a business tries to operate. And so when we get wrapped up in that stuff, I think we forget sometimes just about the business basics, and really that's what today is all about, is just getting back to some of those key fundamentals. So I'm excited to welcome my guest, Charlene Norman, to the show. Charlene, welcome to the show. So glad to have you on. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hello, Adam. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you. I want to go back to when I was 20 years old. I had a fantasy. Did you have a fantasy when you were 20 years old?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So my fantasy was I wanted to win $25 million lottery. Now, I wanted to take $2 million of that and put it into my retirement fund, and the other $23 million, what I wanted to do was parcel it out to small business owners who needed money. Now, between you and I don't know anybody 20 years old who is fit to actually have a conversation intelligently with any business owner. So that was a mark against me. And the thing about lotteries is you have to buy a ticket, and I've never bought a lottery ticket in my life. So you can see that my fantasy didn't start off particularly well, and it didn't look like it was going to get any legs. But nearly 4 decades later, I still have the same fantasy. I'm living the fantasy without the $1 million lottery. I am living the fantasy of actually having advising business owners, and always it was about not making money, but charging a little bit of interest, making payments as easy as possible, and having them have me as their advisor. So if I was to look back at my corporate career, the only thing I can say about my corporate career is, hey, terrific, really amazing, pretty impressive experience. Okay, that was it. So I got tired of creating millionaires in my corporate life, and I said, it's about time now that I start going out and advising smaller businesses, the same tricks, the same tips, the same tactics that I had done myself. I had learned myself to say, okay, guys, you can do it as well. And I still have that fantasy, and that's what has brought me to you today.
Fantastic. I love that story. I think at 20 years old, I would have been, I was thinking about how I could go do something like play golf for a living. I mean, just to be real and honest, I was totally not worried about being in a career and worrying about the ins and outs of supporting my life and the things that I wanted to do. I just wanted to go play a game for a living. Fast forward plenty of time later, and perspective changes. And what's interesting is that I think you find your way along the path and realize that helping people connects you with just absolutely amazing people. And so just having that mindset, I think we match, very much in how we approach business, and for that I appreciate that. Today we're getting into some framework that you've set out. You call it the 5 M's. Tell us a little bit about what the 5 M's is. Let's start at the top. What is the 5 M's, and why does it work for businesses?
So what are the 5 M's? It's the 5 pillars that every single successful business has in place, bar none. The 5 pillars are messaging, mindset, must-haves, marketing, and momentum. I didn't learn any of it in school. In fact, there's so much about our education system that we don't learn until we get out into the real world, right? So I didn't learn any of this in the traditional education system, and nobody mentored me and said, Charlene, this is what it is. I come to you with a fairly deep latitude of responsibility across my career. I come to you having made every single mistake in the book with my own 3 businesses that I've started. I come to you with experimenting with some of my clients to simplify concepts and get them where they need to be. So this is all hard-earned, hard-won wisdom, lived experience, I guess, if you want to call it that. And why I did this is you started at the top of the show off with, there's so much coming at us. There are so many ideas, so many, unfortunately, less than desirable characters coming into the world saying, you got to have this, you got to have that. And by the way, I've got a system I made. I made 7 figures in 3 months, and I can sell you and it just doesn't work. And I got frustrated because I have experience and I still fell down the mistake hole. And I thought, if there's a whole pile of people coming up now, they want to do their own business, but if you don't know what you're trying to build, you don't understand all the little bits and pieces, and more importantly, you don't understand where to put the pieces in, where they fit, you're going to be 20 years off on an island somewhere going, how come I'm not making any money? Like, why is it taking so long? So I just thought, listen, there are ways to kickstart. And the 5 M's that I came up with, they're very, very deep. And we don't have like gazillions of hours to talk about it. So I'm going to give a very high level, if that's okay. Yeah. I'm not going to hit all the points. But it should be enough to get people thinking. What I want more than anything else is for people to know that they're on the right path, that they're headed in the right direction for the world they want to create. That's all I want to do today. And I'm going to make a suggestion. Don't write notes, because I can provide you with the framework of what we're going to talk about today. Just give me a ping on LinkedIn. I will send it to you. No opt-ins, no special gimmicks, no nothing. I want you to listen to, unfortunately, what are the basics that everybody needs to know. So how is that?
Awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. We'll make sure we link your LinkedIn profile into the show notes as well, so everybody can go connect there. Let's dive into this a little bit, because I love your 5 M's. To me, when I think about what I've done to create success in my own businesses, that is a really, really, all 5 of those are really things that have held heavy weight in what I do. So Let's talk about messaging a little bit. Why messaging? What's so important about messaging?
So messaging, okay, everyone's heard about Simon Sinek and, we got to have our whys. We got to have our whys. And I'm here to say, no, you know what? Your messaging is way more than just your why. What your messaging is about, it's about saying, it's about writing, and it's about communicating in the best way that grabs your audience's heart. The best way that lights up their brains and ends with you extending your hand. So grab the heart, light the brain, and extend your hand. And I say this because every single human being loves to buy. Oh my God, if we had all the money in tea in China, we'd be buying everything, right? But the thing we hate is being sold to. We humans love to buy, and when we buy on emotion. We never buy on logic. But what we do is we justify whatever it is that we want with logic. And we really appreciate if someone is there to help us along. And that's the hand part. And it's very simple. This is how we want to be talked to, not sold to, talked to. And we forget, or what I see a lot of business owners forgetting is in their delivery, in what they're talking about, they don't do that. That's right to the kill. The message is all about the other person. The message is nothing to do with us. So in the beginning, what happens is we all have products and services that we know is going to set the world on fire, and we know that the customer is just going to be driving right into our doors at all times, right? Yeah, it takes a little bit longer than that, but sure. So it's not important that we start talking to the customer about why we're doing what we're doing or why we're going to make an impact in the world. What's important the first time we talk to the customer is to talk about how our products and services are going to rock their world. And that's the big differentiator that I want to say today about messaging. The most important piece is, how do your products and services rock the prospect or the customer's world? Or in common lingo of today, what's the transformation that you do to their lives?
I love that. To me, there's a lot of power in the emotional connection, right? And in the marketing world, we talk a lot about the emotional connection when we are thinking about marketing messaging and advertisement design and things like that. And so I love that you're focused on how do we connect with them on an emotional level, because you're spot on. That's 100% how we make connections from a brand standpoint, from a business standpoint, to our clients and to our customers and to our potential clients and customers. So love that.
The one thing I want to add throughout this whole thing is I've taken a look at where to spend money. I've taken a look at where you can waste money, where you can get a good ROI. And I really want to be clear about the messaging piece. I strongly, have I said that enough? I really, really recommend people use a professional to help them with their messaging. One, we cannot solve our own problems, but other people can. Two, a professional can make us sound even better than we are. A professional can make sure that our messaging is evergreen. We don't have to keep going back and forth. And here's the other thing that I recently just did myself. A professional can pull out the emotional bits that you have here that you don't even think about, know about, or even pay attention to, that resonate with the audience. And so I really, really strongly recommend that you pay $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, whatever's in your budget, and get some professional help at whatever stage of the business you're in. Whether you're starting up, if you've been in business for a while, maybe you can get a fractional messaging person, or start to bring on communication staff or whatever, or a fractional marketing person. When you get bigger, you're going to have one on staff. You definitely want to have that. But this is the time to invest some money in your messaging. You will never regret it.
I love that, and I appreciate that as well, because that's to me the hardest thing is to write about yourself, right? And your business is really an extension of yourself. So I love that as well. Let's jump to the next one, right? So you mentioned mindset. So let's talk about mindset, because I'm a huge mindset junkie myself. So I want to hear your perspectives on mindset and what that means to you.
I learned personally, firsthand experience, the most valuable piece of real estate that we own are the 4 inches between our ears, our brains. I call it mindset, but others might call it mental strength, mental focus, mental toughness, or even mental resilience. It doesn't really matter. 85 to 95% of our brain in a day runs on automatic pilot. We don't even think about it. Your thoughts are randomly bouncing around in your head while you type, while you read, while you drive, while you listen, while you speak, while you eat, whatever. Your brain is on automatic pilot. So if it's on automatic pilot, then the thing you really want to focus in on is, what are the quality of your thoughts? And I'll be honest, for most people, our thoughts are pretty bad. And what I mean by that is we beat ourselves up. We expect perfection from ourselves immediately. We're afraid. We're afraid of letting someone down, or letting ourselves down, or someone calling us out, or we don't finish on time, or we finish ahead of time. We're afraid. And for most of us, there's at least one thing that we're ashamed of. It might be that we're ashamed we didn't go to the right school. We don't have the right this. We don't have the right that. We're going on the wrong side of the tracks. It might be that we're ashamed that we don't measure up. It might be also that someone horrible in our previous life had done something to us that made us ashamed. Fear and shame are 2 very common human traits. Everybody has them. And it's the fear and the shame thoughts that mess up our brains. So if you want to clear your mind, if you want to strengthen your mind, if you want to be the best that you can be, what you do is you focus on your thoughts. In the early days, entrepreneurs and business owners, we have to deal with ourselves, which is probably the worst. Outwardly, we might appear calm. We might appear brash, we might appear enthusiastic, or even in control, but inwardly, we're always fighting with frustration, with stress, with problems that we've never imagined we'd ever have to do, doing stuff we've never learned, doing stuff we have no idea what to do, doing stuff that we hate, and not doing this stuff that was the reason we got into business. So the best thing I can say to anyone, talk to the person in the mirror, and I'm really deadly serious about this. Tell the person in the mirror that you love him or her. I'm really serious about this. Tell the person in the mirror, I understand you're doing the best that you can do. It's okay. And the reason I say this, and I've done it myself, is because every single one of us humans suffer from not giving ourselves enough credit. When we're working for ourselves, nobody gives us credit. So the person we have to rely on is ourselves. So take a lesson from all the successful people out there and give yourself some credit. We expect ourselves to be absolutely blastedly superhuman every single day. We can't do it. And as we grow our business, we eventually discover we need some help. Well, guess what? Realizing that we need help, the 4 inches up here goes a little haywire, and we realize that we have to get over ourselves. We have to learn how to get along, play along, and respect along on the playgrounds that we're in. And that's not easy. So leadership starts with us, which means we have to take control of our thoughts. Is that easy? Hell no. If it was, man, oh man, everybody would be successful left, right, and center. But here's the thing about mindset. It doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, you can do it for free. There are several gurus on YouTube. Or for $500 a year, you can sign up for the online community called Mind Valley. They have some amazing things, dirt cheap, that can start getting your brain cells really, really focusing into high gear. What is most important about your mindset? What is most important about your mental strength and being in the right frame of mind is every single day, set aside 1 hour for you yourself. It can be reading, it can be listening, it can be all kinds of things. I don't care what it is. What you want to do is focus on your personal development and your personal growth. You want to strengthen your mindset as much as you can. Some people want to go for a coach. Okay, whatever, if that turns you on, but I'm telling you, you don't have to spend a lot of money.
Yep. No, I love that. I think it's so right. We get stuck oftentimes in our own brain. It's really easy to do. And so, I think practicing and like you said, standing in front of the mirror going, I can do this. I believe in myself. All those kinds of things are really, they sound really silly, but they definitely are really, really powerful. So
They're very, very powerful, Adam. And they're just so, so, so important.
I love it. I love it. So let's jump into the next one, must-haves. So what do you mean by must-haves? Because this is a little bit different as I'm thinking about it, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. What are must-haves? What does that mean for business?
Must-haves are the areas that almost nobody wants to spend on. Must-haves are the, oh my God, I got to do that. Oh, come on, this too, that too. Must-haves, for most people, they look at it and they say, oh my God, this is just a cash hole. Am I ever going to get out of this? What the hell is going on? And I'm going to frame it a different way. If you look at your must-haves, and I will go through a few of them, if you look at your must-haves as an insurance policy and not a sunk cost that you're never going to get any kind of return on, you're smarter to do so. And the reason I say insurance policy is, okay, so we're all young enough. We don't want to talk about that we're going to die one day, but we're smart enough to know that we need life insurance. We don't buy life insurance for us. We buy it for the people who we're providing for, and we want to leave them when we die. The must-haves fall into the same category, except it's insurance while you're living and running the business that you're as strong and as impermeable as you possibly can be. So when I look at must-haves, the number one thing I look at, technology, okay, cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is you got to have it. I'm sorry, every business has a laptop. Every business has computer systems, and it's no longer a thing of when am I going to be attacked? It's if I get attacked, or if it's very quickly coming to all of us. So what we want to do is put in protections, and that's where cybersecurity comes in, to protect all the things that we own on our computer. It protects also our reputation. So sorry, guys, if you're not protected there, you don't have a strong enough business. Now, what are some of the other must-haves? Okay, licensing, environmental stuff, human rights stuff, taxation, workplace safety, whatever other legal things are swirling around. No, we don't want to do them. We'd love to do everything under the table, wouldn't we? But frankly, that's not the moral way of doing business. Please don't cheap out and put it off. Be legal from the very beginning. Okay, we got to have a bank account. We got to have an accounting system. We know that in the first year, we always live out of a shoebox. But in the years coming after that, you want to have some decent reporting. I'm not talking about, this is how much money I made and this is how much money I lost, or this is how much money I have in receivables. What I'm talking about is profit margin by customer, profit margin by product, where you're really, really making money, and then where you're losing money. Those are really, really important. And you can do those in your second, third, fourth, 50th year. How are you tracking to your budget and your plan? What kind of cash flow projections can you determine? What kind of pricing do you have? Have you priced things? Have you costed things? A lot of businesses, oh, I'm going to give you the best price. I'm going to do the cheapest price. So Walmart took over the bottom end of the market. We can't compete with Walmart. Yep. Nobody can. And if you want to go in the low price and the low cost of your area, it's going to be a hell of a long time before you can amass any wealth to your name. So most companies, they play in the middle. And if you're in the middle range, and some will play in the high range too, and that's fine. But if you play in the middle range, now what do you have? You must have intelligence on your competition. You must be very clear about where you're different, where you're better from your competition. Then, of course, at some point, you want standard operating procedures. And I can hear everybody see their eyes rolling. Nobody wants to get into operating procedures, right? But operating procedures are great as you get bigger, because what it does is it helps you fine-tune what you're doing. It helps you perfect what you're doing. And it makes training people so much easier. I know nobody wants to invest money here. I know that. And yet we have to, because our reputations depend on it. And because these kinds of must-haves make us so much stronger for all the shit that's going to come our way over the next few years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, 100%. I love that you call out technology as being an important part of that must-have in the cybersecurity. As we move forward, both of those are going to be, become really just more important in business. Even now, cybersecurity for your own personal house is becoming a relevant thing as well. So speaking of must-haves, I want to pause for just a minute. I want to thank my sponsor, Ventive. Ventive is a CRM platform, and they really are redefining what CRMs can do for your business. Really, really cool stuff, because they found ways to really just close out those gaps between marketing and sales and service and operations. Super, super efficient software, very easy to move your customer all the way from that life cycle to, from prospect all the way through that life cycle to client to wherever you take your client. So really, really great stuff. They definitely have figured out what makes a business efficient. And in my opinion, CRM software, it definitely falls in one of those must-haves for pretty much any business as well. So we thank them for their partnership. So we've been diving down the 5 M's here. We started with messaging and we moved into mindset. We talked a little bit about must-haves. We're moving into one of my favorite spaces, marketing. I mean, to the point where we could have like an entire show just on the marketing section. But I think people often overlook the importance of marketing, and so I did a lot of research on the recession in 2008 and 2009, right? And I looked at the companies that really came out of that recession strong. And the one thing that I found that was really interesting was all those companies doubled down on marketing. They cut back in other spaces for sure, but they doubled down on marketing. And it was a key piece for them coming out of the recession very, very strong. So I'd love to hear your perspectives on why marketing is so important for your business.
Marketing is nothing more and everything about putting the right message in front of the right people at the right time. That's all marketing really is. In the old days, the way old days, you could put a sign up. Your name is on the sign. You'd have a stack of business cards and you'd put an advertisement in the telephone book. That's what we did in the old days. Today, the very basics. We all need some kind of a landing page or some kind of a website, or maybe a combination of the two. We need to have a method to capture the email addresses of whoever drops by. We need to choose a few ways to get in front of the prospects. And it means understanding where those prospects go so that you can be there and be seen by them. I want to stress something. I absolutely agree with you. And I have personal experience that cutting the marketing budget, worst thing anybody can do. But here's the key. Marketing is not selling. Marketing is a precursor to selling. And I have noticed just about everybody gravitates to marketing before they gravitate to selling, regardless of the size of the business. And honestly, I've seen stuff change over the years, and my opinion is the ways to do marketing have not changed. They've increased, but they've not changed. What has changed is the roads that we travel on now and the roads that we take the message out to the masses. And if there's one thing that I can leave with everybody today about marketing, get yourself a homegrown mailing list. You can do all kinds of stuff. And Adam is one of the best to teach you all kinds of stuff on what you can do. But the one thing I will beat everybody always over the head with is where is your homegrown mailing list? Now, I don't care what industry you're in, and I don't care whether you sell B2B or B2C or whatever. And I don't care if you sell movies, manure, mania, or makeup. You always want to have your own email list. And what you do with that email list is entirely up to you. You can write, you can video, you can share links to podcasts, you can share links to thought leaders. It doesn't matter. Why do you want an email list? There's 3 reasons. Number 1, it is the best way to keep you top of mind to all your prospects and clients. Top of mind is the game in marketing. So it is the best way. The second reason is social media does not grant access to whoever's following you. So if what you want is to grab whoever it is that's following you on social media, that you're talking to on social media, you want their email addresses. That goes on your mailing list. And the third thing is, it's the best opportunity to remind people that you exist. You have a completely different point of view, and you're not just about selling your products and services. Email marketing still works. There's some finessing that needs to be done, but I'll just leave you with one term: intellectual property. That's the email addresses, the names of your customers and the prospects that you're going to turn into. Everyone likes to talk about intellectual property. That is the best piece. So what do you market? People always want to know, well, what do I market? So I'll just give you a couple of ideas. How you do it? Up to you. Talk to Adam. But you want to market your message. You want to market your testimonials. You want to market your case studies. You want to market your comparison to the competition. You want to market the journey that you're taking the client on. You want to market your favorite community causes, and you want to market your favorite or best employees. It's a whole big bag of what you can talk about. Go back to messaging. Why are you doing it? This is why you're doing it. How you do it, where you put it, that's an entirely different animal. And I will recommend something to everyone. Most of us were not born marketers. Most of us didn't learn marketing. This is where you hire some help. This is where you trust the professionals. Not necessarily for just doing Facebook ads and Google ads and this ads and that ads. Trust the people that have been doing it for a long time to guide you through the process. We can't do it. Most of us cannot do it ourselves.
No, I love those sentiments, right? So messaging is so important. And the one thing that you that really hits home with me is the social media versus an email list, right? I always, my catchphrase on Clubhouse is social media is rented space, right? We don't own that space. Your profile can be taken down at any time, and you will lose every bit of all of those, thousands and thousands of connections that you made. And so, I love the fact that you call out how important an email list is, because that is where business really drives from,
Yep.
in my mind. So, other owned assets is your website as well, case studies, blogs, things
Yep.
like that. Those are all owned assets. And if you don't have that in play in your business, this is the marketer coming out and me saying, you need to have this stuff because you own it. Nobody else can take it down except you. So, just keep that in mind. So, we are flying through here, and I want to touch on the last M, momentum. So I love the idea of carrying momentum in business. I think it's when you have wins, it's so powerful to be able to figure out how to carry the energy that comes from those wins into the next thing in the project, and the next thing and the next project and the next deal. Tell us a little bit about how you use momentum to really keep winning in business.
So up until now, I'm sure people are rolling their eyes saying, woman, you're spending money. I don't have money. Oh my God. So this is where you're going to get a massive ROI. Every business owner in the beginning, and especially in the first few years, needs to put in 60% of their day into getting in front of people. That's the bottom line. And I say that, I know it's scary because I'm talking 5 hours a day. You want to be doing stuff that puts you in front of people. And I say that because I know you got a gazillion other things to do, and you probably didn't get into doing business to be in front of people all the time. But please remember something really, really important. Business begins and ends with people. Business begins and ends with relationships. Relationships don't grow overnight. Relationships take time. So business, and therefore sales and momentum, is about being in front of the right people. And yes, I see that your sponsor has a beautiful CRM system, and it's going to help. And we all hear about funnels and lead magnets and lead generation systems, and they're going to work too. But before all that, the thing you have to do is go to your calendar and mark off blocks of time for what I call finding and keeping activities. And this is relating to finding the people that you need to get in front of, preparing the material to be in front of them, delivering the material in front of them, obtaining their contact information, because then you can do the follow-up. This is where the time is spent. Any good salesperson is going to tell you, they're not going to tell you what they do to find those people. It's a massive research exercise. They're not likely going to always tell you about what they say in front of them, but it's just to build on from the marketing bump that you created last time. And they'll always say, because my sales are built on the backs of relationships. So business, people, relationships, money. The reason why most people hate selling is they are afraid. They're afraid to put themselves out in public. They're afraid to make a mistake. They're afraid that someone's going to think less of them or think that they're a jerk. They're afraid of being rejected because nobody likes the word no. And they're afraid of being thought less than. But here's what happens at the momentum stage. This is where all the messaging that you just did falls like butter from your tongue. This is where your mental toughness and your mindset work is so valuable, because it pushes back any fears that you have. This is the stage that you've blocked off in your must-haves where you said, okay, I'm going out for building those relationships. That's what I'm going to do. This is the stage where you know what you're good for, what your competition is good for, and how you are different. And this is where you begin to knock it out of the park. And this is when the money comes rolling in. And the last thing I want to say about momentum is, as you grow, what's going to happen is you investigate partnerships and joint ventures and strategic alliances. And when you get a little bit bigger, you look at who can I buy or who can I merge with? And that's momentum on steroids. Because ultimately, when you really want to scale and you really want to grow, what you want to do is you solidify those first 4 pillars so that the momentum stage is where everything comes together.
I love it. I love how momentum just kind of wraps everything together. It's, I think of it as we approach the holidays here. I think of it like a Christmas present, right? The
Exactly.
messaging and the mindset and the must-haves and the marketing is all the great stuff that you pack in the box. And then that momentum is, the wrapping paper on the outside that makes the whole experience of putting it all under the tree for the surprise, so rewarding. So I love where this goes. Momentum, I think, in business is something that often is overlooked, and often I think it's people don't recognize that they have momentum in different spaces, and so you have to, I think, look for that. So I love the call out there. So just real quick, go ahead and recap the 5 M's again for everybody so that we can make sure that they have all of that, and then we'll move to our final thoughts as we get towards the end of the episode here.
So the 5M framework are the 5 success business pillars that every successful business has in place. It starts with messaging, it moves to mindset, then it's must-haves, then it's marketing, and it ends with momentum. Those are the basics. They never change. They apply to any business of any size, of any industry, of any age. That is the sum total of everything I ever learned to make it easy. And as I said at the beginning, listen, you don't have to write it out. If all you have to do is ping me on LinkedIn, and I'll be very happy to share the PDF of the framework that we just discussed.
Absolutely fantastic. We love it. So I always like to wrap up the show with a final thought. It's the one thing that people can take away from today's episode and apply to their business tomorrow. So I leave the floor to you for your final thought.
So business is personal. Business is not data. Business is not tech. Personal means people. And people are the foundation of our business, our lives, and of the impact that we want to make in the world. Absolutely nothing starts until a relationship is made. Your success rises and falls on your relationships. So choose wisely.
I love what you're saying about relationships, right? Our relationships are so important, I think, that I look at the business that I get, probably 95% of it is through some sort of relationship. It's not just not just a direct sales relationship with somebody, but it's, relationships and knowing somebody that knows somebody that needs, what I do, right? So
That's exactly it.
yeah, so I love that you call out relationships. Where can people find you?
I play on LinkedIn a lot. So that's the best place to find me. The second place you could go is you can find me I do have a website, www.bulletproofconsulting.ca.
Awesome. We'll make sure we get those in the show notes so people can find you as well. We really appreciate your time today. It's been so refreshing to get back to the basics of business, right? The pillars that really make every business tick through and survive and be successful. So Really appreciate your knowledge and your perspectives on this, because it's something that's kind of near and dear to my heart as I think about some of the new projects that I have coming up in growing and scaling. So I appreciate it. So thank you so much for coming, being a guest on the show. We thank everybody that jumped in and listened live. If you're catching this on replay, we appreciate you as well. Don't forget to stop by thewinningtactics.com. You can download our free ebook, Building a Better Business. Becoming a Better Business Leader. I swear I can talk. It's been a long day today, but drop on by thewinningtactics.com. You can subscribe and download our free book, Becoming a Better Business Leader. It's just a quick 15-page book that has some, really nitty-gritty, down to the truth facts about how you can become a better business leader. We appreciate you, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Well, that wraps up yet another episode of the Winning Tactics Podcast. You can find Adam on both the LinkedIn and Facebook platforms. And to support the show and ensure the success of the podcast, would you kindly consider visiting Patreon.com/Adam Sinkus? We greatly appreciate it. And until next time, from the Winning Tactics Podcast, remember, culture is how your team behaves when no one is looking. Take good care, and thanks for listening.